7th, 2024 PSTA Board Meeting. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and before we do the pledge, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence because early Tuesday morning in Baltimore, Maryland, there was a 984-foot cargo ship that hit a pillar of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, and it caused its collapse. There are still 6 people who are missing, and they are presumed to be dead, and the recovery effort is now underway. So before we do the pledge, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence as we consider those who are lost and their families. Thank you. Commissioner Latvala, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to welcome Largo Commissioner Chris Johnson, who has been appointed to PSTA by the City of Largo. Welcome, Commissioner Johnson, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We do have, Commissioner Peters is trying to join us online today, and she'll be joining the meeting via Zoom. So in order for her to participate, I do need a motion to allow her to participate virtually in today's meeting.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have presentations, and today we'll be discussing the 2024 rodeo winners. We all know that PSTA's bus operators and the maintenance staff are all winners, but today we're honored to have several who recently brought home trophies from the Tampa Bay Bus Rodeo. Greg Bracken, our Director of Transportation, and Henry Lukasik, the Director of Maintenance, are here to introduce our winners. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. This is the good time of the year. We get to come and recognize some of our operators and mechanics who have done an outstanding job representing us at our regional rodeo competition. This year, it was held down in Manatee County, and we had some very good turnout out there, and we also took home the trophies. So without further ado, my third place winner, Stephen Thomas, took home third this year. Nehemiah Guerrera is our second place winner. And Terrell Berry is our defending champ, and will be going on to Jacksonville on the 20th to represent us there. And then after that, we're going to head on out to Portland to do the APTA International Rodeo Competition. So did a great job. We had 5 of the top finishers in the top 7, so we did a great thing. And then like we said, there was, excuse me, get back to the mic. Like we said, there was 5 transit operators that participated. PSTA, Hart, Manatee, Sarasota, and Lakeland came for the first time this year. They have an overall competition. It's really about them, but we also have a little jabbing going on between the properties. And because of our performance, we did get the Best of the Bay trophy that you see sitting in front of you, and we get to carry that to next year and hopefully retain it for a long time. So, thank you.
Excellent.
Good morning. So on the maintenance side of the competition, they compete in teams of 3. We had 4 teams from PSTA and 1 from Manatee County. They compete on a series of modules to test their skills diagnosing planted issues along with a written test. Our first place team is actually our veteran team. They've been together since 2017. I want to introduce Paul Levesque, Bobby Ferris and Tyler Johnson. A couple of their highlights, because maintenance only sends its best to the state. All are master ASC transit bus technicians. They have all been recognized by the state of Florida over the years as top technicians of the year. They have, at the state level, won multiple events on the individual basis, but most importantly, last year, they were the first place winners at the 2023 state rodeo. And they are known to travel around the country and compete at the international rodeo level, where they've won top awards. So it's my pleasure on behalf of Director Bracken and myself to introduce all of you to our 2024 state rodeo team, bus operator and maintenance.
We'll do a quick photo, and congratulations, everyone. Do you know if this, I don't know what button turns it on. Is it this? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Right now, it's time for our public comment on consent agenda items or items that are not on the agenda. Did we have any of the, any members of the public who wish to speak? No? Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and close public comment then. And we'll move to our consent agenda. Do we have any items that are on the consent agenda that any board member wishes to pull?
Move approval. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Seeing that there's no further requests for discussion, could we open the voting system, please? And 14. All right. Oh, is Kathleen on now?
Okay.
She said she was.
Okay, Commissioner Peters, if you are logged in now, if you could give us your verbal vote on this item? Is she not? Okay.
Me?
Oh, we heard you.
Oh.
There she is. There she is.
Good morning, Commissioner Peters. We can see and hear you now.
Okay, I apologize. I've had lots of technical issues this morning, but yes, I'm a yes on that.
Okay.
And congratulations to your rodeo team. They're really amazing.
Yes, thank you. All right, that means the motion passes unanimously. And we'll go on to our committee updates. First, we'll receive our track update from the track vice chair, Roman Sharabalko, followed by myself with the Ford Pinellas report. Do we have Roman?
On Zoom? I think he is.
Yes. Can you hear me? I
Yes,
unmuted
good
myself.
morning.
Hello. Okay, I will start. Good morning, Chair Driscoll, Mr. Miller, and esteemed board members. The track met via Zoom on Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, and Noah Dacre from Bryant, Miller, and Olive gave the committee a refresher presentation on do's and don'ts pertaining to the Florida Sunshine Laws. The presentation and subsequent discussion provided us with some helpful examples of what is and isn't allowed in the Sunshine for track members. The presentation will be very helpful for our committee members moving forward, as we are now plan on taking a larger role in lobbying our elected officials for causes and issues that benefit public transit and PSTA. The committee viewed a new educational video about the history of PSTA that was made for Human Resources Department to help with the orientation of new employees. Lastly, the committee enjoyed an entertaining and informative presentations from BJ Gavin and Abhishek Dayal from PSTA's Project Management Office. They updated us on the agency's shelter program and brand new monopole shelter, which appears to be an interesting and creative way to provide seating and shelter at stops where traditional shelters could otherwise not fit. The committee members are eager to see and use these new amenities as we ride the system. Our next meeting will be on April 16th, 2024 at 4 p.m. The location of the meeting, whether here or via Zoom, will be determined by the results of an email survey of the track members. As always, you're welcome to attend, and thank you.
Thank you, Roman. Do we have any questions from the board? All right, thank you very much for the report, and thank you for serving on that important committee. We'll move on to our Forward Pinellas update. The Forward Pinellas Board met last on March 13th, 2024. The board approved the Unified Planning Work Program and multiple land use amendments to the countywide plan map. Forward Pinellas staff provided an update on the Housing Action Plan. This month's briefing focused on the unique needs of our senior population and the challenges they face with affordable housing. And an update was also provided on the various bills that had been filed as part of this year's legislative session that concern PSTA, MPO operations, transportation studies, and affordable housing. The next regular Forward Pinellas Board meeting will be held on April 10th, 2024, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. All right, thank you. Well, that does it for our committee updates for today, and we'll move on to our action items. First, item 6A is our FY 2023 audit report. Lauren Strope with PSTA's auditing firm Cherry Beckert, Inc. is here to outline the successful FY 2023 audit results. This was previously received and recommended by our Finance Committee. Debbie Laus, our CFO, would you like to introduce Lauren?
Yes, thank you, and good morning, and welcome. And I'm very proud of the work that we're doing here at PSTA on the finance side. Actually, welcome aboard, Mr. Johnson, and it was actually the City of Largo that kind of spurred me on 10 years ago to go for the Award of Excellence for our annual comprehensive financial report. Kim Adams, who is a phenomenal gentleman who's now retired out of the City of Largo, had said to us when I first got here, and I said, let's try to do this. He said, oh, you can't get this done. You can't get this done this fast. There's no way. And of course, we accept the challenges very well here. And we were able to, for my first audit here at PSTA, get an award. And now we have filled our first plaque, a decade worth of awards of excellence for our annual report. And it takes a lot of everyone to put it together. Getting the report together is one thing. The other thing is doing the work accurately. And that takes the work of everyone in the authority, from anyone who's doing a requisition, who's approving things. And I'm going to introduce Lauren Strope. She is the partner of Cherry Beckert, and she did our audit this year, and I'm very pleased with the results, which means I'm very grateful to everybody in the authority, not just my wonderful finance team. With that, I'll turn it over to Lauren.
Thank you, and good morning, Lauren.
Thank you all so much for having me here today. My name is Lauren Strope, and I am an audit partner with Cherry Beckert, and I had the privilege of serving on your audit this year. I did meet last week with the Finance Committee, and we did a real deep dive into the results of the audit. But if at any time you have any questions, please don't hesitate to interrupt me. I'm not sure how to get, oh, here we go. All right, so we actually follow a variety of different standards when we do your audit, and we are ready to render our opinion today, dated today, after your approval. So we follow a variety of different standards. The first is generally accepted auditing standards, and that's where we can render our report saying that your financial statements are fair and properly stated. We also issue a government auditing standards opinion. Since you are a local government, you are required to do that in the state of Florida, and that requires us to take a deep dive into your internal controls over financial reporting. We don't opine on those internal controls, but if we were to become aware of an issue such as a significant deficiency or a material weakness in those internal controls, we would be required to disclose that. So you're getting a no comment report this year, which is good, meaning we did not find any of those things. We also completed a federal and state single audit, which is an audit of those federal and state grant dollars that come in, and we were prepared to issue a clean opinion on that as well, meaning we had no issues in compliance or in internal controls over that compliance during our testing. Lastly, we followed Chapter 10.550, Rules of the Auditor General of the State of Florida, and we are prepared to issue our letter that has no comments related to the current year on it. And we are ready to issue a investment policy report, which again is unmodified or a clean opinion. So a lot of words there, a lot of things that I said that relate to audit standard, but in a nutshell, all of your opinions are clean, and they're the highest level of assurance that we as your auditor can provide. So all around good news. As far as some new standards that were implemented, if you were to look at your annual comprehensive financial report last year and this year, the only change in that is going to be you did implement one new standard, and that is subscription-based IT arrangements. Basically, any sort of subscription-based IT arrangement in the past was just expense as you paid it. Now an asset and a corresponding liability is on your books, but this is in line with industry standard, and this was something that was expected to happen. And with that, I am happy to answer any and all questions that you might have over the audit.
All right. Thank you. Questions? No? All right. Well, thank you so much for that presentation.
Thank you so much. And I did just want to mention that management is a pleasure to work with, and they make sure that we get everything that we need in order to complete the audit. So thank you so much for your time. And if at any time any questions come up, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. And Debbie and the rest of the finance team, congratulations on a decade of recognition for your excellence.
Thank you, and we'll continue to do that. And today's action item is acceptance of the audit report.
All right.
Madam
Thank
Chair, I
you.
make a motion to approve. Second.
All right. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Seeing that there's no request for discussion, could we open the voting system, please? Everyone, please enter your votes. And Commissioner Peters, could we have your vote on this item, please?
I'm a yes.
Thank you. And
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm a yes. My screen went away.
all right. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have item 6B, our project management and construction management contracts. Abhishek Dayal, our Director of Project Management, will present two on-call contracts for project management and construction management services. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. I'm Abhishek Dayal, Director of Project Management. Good to be here with you. The action that we're requesting today is approving a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options for on-call project management, construction management services, and also authorizing our CEO to exercise the 2 one-year options. And that's with 2 firms. One, Skanska USA Building, Inc., for an amount not to exceed $3 million. And then the second firm is HDR Inc. for an amount not to exceed $3 million as well. Now, on-call PMCM or Project Management Construction Management Services, it's a contract that we use to get full-time or part-time staff to help us manage our various projects that we're working on concurrently. And those can include project management support, construction management support, or they could be very specific skill sets that we might need depending on the project that we're working on. So some of the expertise that we've used in the past includes construction administration, independent cost estimating. Our PMCM consultants have also negotiated pretty successfully with our contractors to get the best pricing in terms of labor, materials, and also the schedule oversight for our projects. And one of the very successful model where we applied this concept was for the Sunrunner project. As you all know, the Sunrunner project came under budget by over $5 million, and that's where we used this PMCM consultant to help us successfully deliver this project. You can actually see the picture of the PMCM team working with the contractor during the grand opening for Sunrunner. So they provided oversight during design, construction, as well as during the procurement phase to bring on a contractor. They addressed utility coordination issues, coordinated multiple projects that were going on, that were under construction while Sunrunner was under construction, to keep the projects on task, on schedule, under budget. And I'll give you an example. At one point during Sunrunner construction, we had construction going on in St. Pete Beach for the Force Sewer Main project on Gulf Boulevard. We also had construction going on in Pasadena Avenue for the milling and resurfacing that DOT was doing. And at the same time, St. Petersburg also had their milling and resurfacing going on First Avenues. Having construction going on multiple fronts can be disruptive to the public. And then on top of that, we had construction going on for Sunrunner. So the PMCM team really helped make sure that all the coordination, communication was taking place so that for the public, it's minimal disruption, and then the construction can also go on seamlessly. So they provided that consistent and timely coordination with all our stakeholders during the construction process, whether it's City of St. Petersburg, FDOT, St. Pete Beach, or Pinellas County. So some of the projects where we will utilize these PMCM services are shown here, including the new station that the board approved several months ago, using the savings that we realized from the Sunrunner project. All of these projects are in the capital program that the board had previously approved, so they're all budgeted for already. The task orders that we'll be issuing to the consultants, anything above $100,000, we will be bringing back to the board for your approval. And I know in the Finance Committee, Commissioner Scott, you had a good suggestion of bringing in or reporting any task orders that we issue to the consultants, so we will definitely do that. Project management services, these extra services, they are all budgeted for in the project budget, so we're not asking for any additional funding as part of this contract. And the real benefit for me, for my group, is that it provides us the flexibility to bring in additional staff as and when needed, so that we don't have to hire them permanently on PSTA payrolls. And they can be more flexible in terms of specific skill sets that we need, in terms of when we need them, for how long we need them. And so it provides that flexibility in keeping that staffing levels consistent with the ebbs and flows of project development process. So once again, the recommendation is a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options for the 2 firms, Skanska USA Building Inc. for $3 million, and HDR Inc. for $3 million as well. I do have representatives from the 2 firms, James Van Steenberg from HDR and Mr. Bob Cloyd from Skanska, who are here in the audience. With that, Madam Chair, I'm happy to take any questions from the board.
All right, thank you. Questions? Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, thank you for that, and I think the kind of program you're talking about does work wonders and allows a lot of flexibility with your staff, I guess. So what are you anticipating in this budget year for those $6 million that are available? I know they're already within the projects, but What is that expense that you're anticipating?
So Commissioner Eggers, that we're currently in this fiscal year, we're currently anticipating using them for our solar panels project, as well as for the Sunrunner station, the new station that we're going to be building. Those are the two projects that we'll be anticipating this year. And then subsequent years, we've got other projects that I showed in that list.
And this is the 6 million is for the next year, up to 6 million.
It's for the next 5 years.
Oh, next, I'm sorry, I missed that. I said, boy, that was a lot of money, so I was trying to understand.
Yeah.
I feel better already, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Tom Reed.
Yes, thank you. On the fair payment technology upgrades, can you kind of expand on that a little bit? And then I have a follow-up to your answer.
Absolutely. So we're always looking to improve our fair payment technology, including the Flamingo program that we have currently in place. One of the pilots that we're working towards, and we're trying to get some funding on that, is how to get seniors signed up so they don't have to come to a customer service center or a transit center to be recognized as a senior and then be basically signed up for that. So one of the programs that we're looking to implement here is what if they can just upload all their information online through, say, login.gov, get validated, and then their credit card or their fare payment is good for them to get the reduced fare whenever they ride the system. So that's the project we're looking at.
That sounds really good. Since I joined the board, I've been going out and riding the buses and talking to the drivers. And one of the things that they've mentioned to me most often is, particularly with the fare reader the way it is now, they can't see how many people have come in. It was said to me on a number of occasions, a group comes in and tags their pass, particularly if they come in the rear entrance. The driver has no way of being able to see how many people, and he sometimes is calling people up, and he feels like it's potentially embarrassing them. So I was wondering if maybe in this technology upgrade, if there's a way that the driver can actually have a better visual of how many people are coming in at a given time using the pass.
Yeah, we can certainly look at that.
Just something I wanted to share with you since this is on here. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Can you remind us where the solar panels are going?
So we are looking to issue the task order to Skanska for solar panel project. Our target to come back to the board is somewhere around August, September timeframe to bring on a contractor to install solar panels. So that's what we're looking at right now.
Okay, and this is for the maintenance building?
It's right here, yes, at PSTA admin offices.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. And then, do you have an estimated start date or timeframe for the beginning of the construction of the new Sunrunner station?
Actually, I was just talking to Mr. Van Steenberg about how to get that going pretty quickly. We just completed 90% design on the Sunrunner station, so relatively soon, knock on wood, hoping that in the next several months, we can start working on a procurement for bringing in a contractor to start construction here.
Okay, great. And have we already, and I can't remember if it's PST or the city, doing both, sometimes I get them mixed up, but I think the artwork by,
Catherine?
by Catherine, that's already been contracted, right?
Yes.
Yes, I thought so.
We've already had lots of discussions with the artist and city staff to make sure that the artwork is consistent with their vision, and we actually have a design for the new station for the art panels. So yes, that's going along as well.
Okay, great. And in that particular area, or pretty much anywhere you go in downtown St. Petersburg these days, there is a lot of other construction that's taking place. And I have full confidence in these firms' ability to work with the city, work with the other developers to make sure that things are coordinated in a way that has minimal impact on drivers, pedestrians, bicyclists that are in the area. So I'm very happy that you're bringing this forward, so thank you. I don't see that there are any other questions. These are two contracts, but there could be one motion to approve both of them together. or we could vote on them separately if someone desires. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve these contracts with Skanska and HDR.
Move approval to approve both of them together.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And seeing that there's no further requests for discussion, could we open the voting system, please? Oh, I'm sorry, yes. No, do we have any public comment on this item? Thank you for the reminder.
Can I?
Yes, Mr. Zeman.
So staff's request is to approve a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options, and to authorize the CEO to exercise the 2 one-year options. I just want to make sure that's the motion on the floor. Okay, and the seconder,
The seconder?
did you understand that that was, okay, thank you. I just want to make
Great.
sure the board understood what was being asked for.
Yes, yes, thank you for that clarification. Okay. All right, could we open the voting system, please? And Commissioner Peters, could we have your vote on this item?
I am a yes.
All right, thank you, and that means the motion passes unanimously. Okay, I thought so. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll go to our information items, and first, item 7A, we have an update on our new Clearwater Transit Center. It's incredibly exciting and truly historic that after nearly 3 decades of effort, this critical project for our customers is finally moving forward. Last week, PSTA and the City of Clearwater officially traded properties. Abhishek will give us an informational presentation on the project and let us know what the next steps are to move this forward.
Yes, again, good morning. I'm Abhishek Dayal, Director of Project Management, who never left. I'm super excited about this project, Clearwater Transit Center project, and I'm here to give you of course, share the great news that Madam Chair also mentioned, but also talk about the kind of how we got there, why we need this project, and also I'll be coming back in the next few months for your approval on specific actions related to this project. So I wanted to provide some context before coming back to you in a few months for additional actions. So as you all know, we have a Part Street terminal, a major transit center in North Pinellas County that we've been operating since the 80s, early 80s in downtown Clearwater. This terminal was built in 1982, pre-ADA. So ADA, it's not ADA compliant because it was built prior to ADA laws. And we've had several issues with regards to this facility, including roof clearance issues for some of our newer buses to be able to safely go in and out underneath the roof. And by newer buses, I mean buses that were purchased back in 2017 and beyond. So as you can see here in one of the photos, one of the buses barely makes it out of the terminal. We've also had this terminal that was built with only 8 bus bays. We have 15 bus routes that use this terminal. So as a result, almost half of those buses, they have to park outside the terminal. You can imagine when it's pouring rain, people are trying to get in and out of the bus or the terminal. They have to come out of the terminal, get on the bus, and it's not a good experience for our riders. We've also had significant structural and roof issues on this facility. And you can see some photos of the most recent roof issues that we encountered. And our facilities team does a fantastic job in making sure it's a safe place for people to wait, but it's obviously not a sustainable solution for this project. Mostly in terms of the annual maintenance that it requires to keep it running safely. So I wanted to give you a kind of a short/long history of how we got there, including back in 1982 when this facility was built. In 2011, the city of Clearwater purchased a land at 710 Court Street from now Councilmember Dave Albritton for the purposes of building this facility. And then fast forward in 2022, for the first time, PSTA actually received a RAISE grant of $20 million to construct this facility. And then, as Madam Chair alluded to last week, we finally closed on this property to build this facility. In between that time frame, we've had several discussions with the City of Clearwater, Pinellas County staff on where to locate the city's City Hall project, which they were also looking for a property to build this on. The county was also looking for a solution for their offices. So we've had multiple studies, multiple conversations to see where would be an appropriate location to build this facility. So we finally landed on this project. We've also had some great discussions with City of Clearwater staff to make sure that the design for the new transit facility meets with their downtown development code, it meets with their vision, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. So this new facility is going to be a multimodal facility, LEED certified with EV charging infrastructure for our all-electric buses. We'll have modern amenities for our passengers who are waiting for the bus arrival departure information. This facility is right next to the Pinellas Trail, so we anticipate a lot of bike users coming to this facility. So having a bike storage, an enhanced bike storage facility would be a great add-on to this design. And then using our partnership with Uber and Lyft, and then our paratransit drop-off and pickup services, that will be also incorporated to truly make it a multimodal facility. And then a new thing that we're incorporating into the design is an on-site retail or like a small coffee shop also located in this facility for additional passenger amenities. We believe that's not only for our riders, but also for adjacent properties who can utilize this on-site facility, on-site retail or restaurant facility. This is a site plan showing the location and kind of the layout of this terminal. On the top left corner, that's the blue box. You'll see that's where the on-site retail, the small coffee shop would be located. It's also the main entrance to this terminal. And then the other two boxes kind of in the middle of the site plan, the one on the top is the indoor passenger waiting area. And then the one on the bottom is going to be the restrooms for our riders. And I should also note that the City Hall project is going to be just north of us, just north of Franklin Street. So we see a lot of synergies between the City Hall as well as the terminal as a great way for the city employees to use our bus service, as well as for the public to be able to access the City Hall buildings. And so here are some couple of renderings showing the kind of the current design. This is our view from Franklin Street and Southeast Avenue. That's the top left corner of that blue building that I was showing in the site plan. This is looking into the site here. This is a top view that shows the PSTA and the retail space on the top left corner. And then the key corner, which is a very prominent corner for downtown Clearwater. This is at the intersection of Court Street or US 60 and Myrtle Avenue, which is the Alt 19. That presents a really good opportunity for us to really enhance that corner through public art, because that's the first thing people will see as they're driving into downtown Clearwater, and it's kind of a welcoming facility to welcome all those who come into downtown Clearwater. Another rendering showing kind of the inside of this facility, and then another thing I wanted to point out was the location of this facility. We think this is a really good location for a number of reasons. Last month, the board approved the Alt 19 study to explore transit options along Alt 19 corridor. This is right on Alt 19. So it presents a great opportunity to provide that connection to those transportation options that we'll be looking at. US 60 is a location that we have talked about having an express service between Clearwater and Tampa International Airport. So this is right at the intersection of US 60 and Alt 19. So it presents a really good way for people to connect into and out of those two transportation corridors. And then on to the left side, we've got CSX tracks that can also present some great opportunities for future transportation options using the CSX tracks, including rail. So finally, in terms of next steps, where we are, I will be coming back to the board next month to bring on a project management, construction management contractor to help oversee the design as well as the construction for this terminal. In summer, which would be a few months after next month, we'll be bringing back CDM Smith, who's the design lead, for a contract amendment to add some funds to their contract. And then summer of next year, we'll be bringing in a recommendation for a contractor to finally begin construction on this project. So in closing, I just wanted to, again, thank Councilmember Albritton for your support, for all the advocacy and facilitating those discussions, really positive discussions with city staff and city leadership to getting us to this point. And then also our BMO, Mr. Alan Zimmett, for really playing a key role in the recent land closing that I know Mr. Zimmett has worked on for several years, and just wanted to see if maybe Mr. Zimmett would like to say a few words on that.
All right, thank you. Sir?
Well, thanks. I started working for PSTA as General Counsel in 1988. I have worked on the relocation of the Park Street Terminal since 1988. I was telling Brad the other day that there are at least 5 different projects that I recall where we had extensive efforts into relocating this facility, including 2 efforts with the joint county-city PSTA project at Park Street with the county adjacent county property, that for one reason or another, each one of those projects did not come to fruition. I have told Brad that I was pessimistic after 5 efforts that this one would come through, so I congratulate him and Abhishek in making this happen and getting us this far. So with that, congratulations to the 2 of you for getting this way, and Councilmember Albritton for your assistance with helping make it happen with the city of Clearwater. Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you, yes. Good, definitely some good news. Commissioner Albritton.
Okay, a couple of comments on this. This has been a long journey, and you know, after Brad and I went to Washington and we finally were successful with the $20 million, we had a city manager that wanted to move the site, and he's no longer with us. So we've moved forward with this site, and it is something a long time coming. So I'm glad we're finally at the stage where we're moving along, and look forward to having drawings this summer. I got a couple of questions, Abhishek. I know that because this is on a busy corridor, that they're not allowing any egress into the bus site from Gulf to Bay. They're going to go up to the east, come down east to Franklin, and then move around and come into the lot on Franklin. When they leave on Franklin, are they going to be able to turn right and go to Myrtle, or are they going to planning to turn left and kind of go back up Franklin to somewhere, the existing bus routes, I guess?
Yeah, thanks for the question, and thanks for your comments, council member. So in discussions with the city, we are asking our buses to only use Franklin to go westbound when they're exiting the terminal, because as you know, Myrtle Avenue is very congested. So for buses to utilize Myrtle Avenue, it becomes a challenge not only for the traffic, but also for our buses. So we'll be working with our operations and our planning team to make sure that the buses only utilize westbound Franklin Street as they're exiting the terminal. And then the Court Street entrance that you noted, that is only for emergency purposes. In case Franklin is closed for some reason, if there's some repair work going on, then at least we have an option for buses to get in and out of the terminal. So-
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I have one on that Court Street emergency use only. Will there be the flexible bollards or something that will keep cars from accidentally turning in?
Great question. So yes, we are exploring an option for one of those bollards that can go down
Yeah.
to the floor,
Ooh.
down to the ground.
Yeah.
So buses can go in and out. And then most of the times they'll just stay upright so that no cars can accidentally go into the terminal.
Okay, and that's from Court Street?
Yes,
The
on the
little-
Court Street, yes.
Okay. But then in an emergency, there would be an operator who would.
We would
them.
lower those bollards, and then we would actually get assistance from the City of Clearwater Police Department to help buses get out of this facility. Because the lanes are really narrow, and if you've been down Court Street, it gets really congested,
Yeah.
particularly during spring break. So needing their assistance would be critical, and we've had conversations with them, and they've agreed to that. So that's kind of what the plan would be.
Okay. Sounds good, thank you. This is great. You know, once upon a time, I spent several years working for what is now the Tampa Bay Times in their advertising department. And for a couple of years, I was based out of their Clearwater office, which was there at that time. So it's kind of cool for me to see that property is now finally moving forward with this plan. And I have some great memories, but from being around there, but there's a great future ahead too. I'm excited. And congratulations to Commissioner Albert. And I know that you have worked very hard to advocate for this and help make it happen. And from one city council member to another, I'm just so impressed. And I'm really, really proud of what you've done. I'm proud to know you. Any other questions, comments? All right, well, thank you for that update, and I guess
Thank you.
we'll see you next month with a contract, right?
Yes, you will. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next, item 7B, our Sunrunner Corridor Development Tracking Report, and Jacob Labutka, Planning Manager, will summarize that report on transit-oriented development that is in our packets. Good morning, Jacob.
Morning. Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Jacob Labutka. I'm the Planning Manager here at PSTA. So today I'm going to be summarizing a report that is in your packet that details some of the development that we're seeing along the Sunrunner Corridor. I took this item to the Planning Committee last week, and it was recommended that I debut this as a presentation, since this is the first time you're seeing this report that we're hoping to bring to you on a quarterly basis. So I'll just be summarizing some of the highlights from the report. So one of the goals for the Sunrunner project, in addition to, of course, providing another mobility option in southern Pinellas County, is also to encourage and spur development within the corridor. I think we've all seen a lot of the cranes happening along the corridor, particularly in the downtown and Grand Central area. And concurrently to this effort, PSTA, in cooperation with the cities of St. Petersburg and South Pasadena, commissioned the Sunrunner Rising study to look at the opportunities for development and rezoning along the corridor to allow for more density of development within the station areas along the Sunrunner. So one of the things that we started doing last year to track the development patterns and progress along the corridor is we commissioned local urban development publication St. Pete Rising that has a website that tracks development in the greater St. Petersburg area. So we started working with them to specifically track the development that's happening along the corridor. Some of you may recall that Anthony Close from St. Pete Rising presented a version of this presentation last year. So this is essentially an updated version of the presentation to reflect some of the new data that is found in the attached report. So I won't go into everything on the slide, but just shown here are some of the metrics that are being tracked for each development that is listed along the Sunrunner corridor. So the St. Pete Rising works using a variety of sources to get this information, whether it's through public filings, developer interviews, real estate listings, et cetera, to compile the information that is included in the report. And so all of the development that is being tracked is from mid-2020 past around May of 2020 when this funding for the Sunrunner project was announced. So all of the developments that are listed in the report include all developments that were proposed, under construction, or recently completed since that baseline in mid-2020. Shown here is a map of all of the development that has occurred within that time frame along the corridor. So you can see, of course, a lot of it comes as no surprise, is concentrated within downtown St. Petersburg and the Grand Central District, with few developments happening to the west of there. So we certainly know that some station areas are naturally more prime for others for development than other station areas. But some of this, which is what the Sunrunner Rising study is looking at, some areas don't have development just because the zoning won't allow for it. Some of the zoning around the corridor is more suburban-oriented in nature, and so efforts like the Sunrunner Rising study is going to look at the potential for more intense zoning to allow for more development in some station areas. I know the city of St. Petersburg is currently doing public outreach to potentially do some zoning changes along some of the station areas. So I think we'll continue to see more intense development along some of the station areas, and we'll continue to track new developments with St. Pete Rising. So hopefully we'll see even more blue dots on the map in the months and years to come. So some of the findings summarized in the report. So shown here are just a few metrics looking at a few of the different types of development that we're seeing along the corridor. So we're seeing since that baseline in mid-2020, almost 15,000 new residential units proposed or under construction, 1,700 hotel rooms, 2.6 million square feet of commercial space, and all of that comes to a pretty whopping development value of $9.4 billion collectively. Shown on the right is those development types announced by year, so shown in between 2020 and 2023. So shown in blue are rental units, orange condo units, gray townhomes, and yellow hotel rooms. So you can see pretty much every year from 2020 there's been a pretty solid increase in development type, most notably the increase in rental units that we're seeing across the corridor and in St. Petersburg. So you'll see in 2023, there's a pretty noticeable jump across all development types in that year, which I will be explaining momentarily. So just another peek at continued development findings that are summarized in the report. So as kind of shown by the graph in the previous slide, about 2/3 of the residential units are rental units being constructed, and about 1/3 or about 4,500 are condo units that have been constructed or proposed over the last 3 years. Like I said, 2.6 million of commercial square feet in the corridor. About 25% of that is new retail space. And shown on the bottom is the combined valuation of the development in between 2020 and 2023. So you'll see, of course, increases year over year with a pretty significant jump between 2022 and 2023. And so that jump is largely attributable to, as I'm sure you're all aware, the new gas plant redevelopment district that is proposed for the Tropicana Rays Field Stadium area. So this slide just shows a little bit more detail about that redevelopment proposal. So this would be over an 86-acre site shown here in the graphic on the left. And you'll notice the tiny little Sunrunner bus. Well, not the bus is tiny, but it's, looks tiny from over here. But notice that the development does integrate with the Sunrunner route, of course, at the 13th Street station. So the development value of this project is $6 billion, which of course accounts for the majority of the $6.5 billion in valuation in 2023. And so there's a lot that's being proposed for this development, almost 5,000 market rate residential units, senior units, hotels, Class A office space. So obviously a lot is going into this proposal. And so with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. And in addition, I'd be happy to take any recommendations you have for things you might like to see in future reports. So for example, Commissioner Schulman recommended at the Planning Committee that in future reports we look at for the new residential units coming to market, what is the breakdown between market rate and affordable units? So anyway, happy to take questions and comments. Pass it back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Eggers.
That was one of my questions, so thank you for bringing that one up. The other was under the commercial of 2.6 million square feet. Obviously, the numbers below that don't add up to that.
Yes.
Is the balance of that coming from the proposed development on the Gaslight project?
So I know that.
Where's it coming from?
Yes, no, that's a great question. I know that 2.6 million is for the total over 3 years. I think St. Pete Rising was just highlighting just two types of commercial commercial space that comprise that. But that being said, I can follow up with him for a more complete breakdown of some of the other commercial types that included in that 2.6.
Yeah, that's a lot of space. And,
Oh, yeah.
And the only other space that I can imagine would be office, and we're desperately looking for office, but I don't see any other than that, the historic gas plant district redevelopment. So you might want to add that line as where it's.
No, absolutely. I'll work with him to
Thank
add
you.
that.
Appreciate it. Good presentation.
Great, thank you. And Commissioner Tom Reed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Jacob. It's a great report. I just really want to state, clarify a comment I made in the Planning Committee meeting the other day when you presented this, in that South Pasadena has had no development, which is what I stated in the Planning Committee. At the time, I was thinking residential. But the map is incorrect. We've had a brand-new restaurant, Kelly's Roast Beef, was built from scratch. Scooter's Coffee, built from scratch, ground up, as well as I think the second phase of the storage facility was post-2020 as well. So I guess my point is, again, to correct my misstatement in the Planning Committee meeting, but also if we're going to rely on St. Pete Rising to provide us this data, they've missed 3 projects that were right in the core of the Sunrunner, and the Sunrunner, South Pasadena is the only city in which it runs the entire length of the city. So I just think maybe somebody needs to bring that to their attention if we're going to rely on that data.
No, absolutely. Thank you for that feedback. I will definitely bring that to their attention.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, and I agree, it's really important to be accurate on this so that we can get the full picture. I wanted to point out, regarding the zoning that you mentioned, and I'm looking at the map that you presented on slide 4. If you look at that, the western part of St. Petersburg, where it kind of falls down to like just one property east of 19 that is below Central, and that area represents the Warehouse Arts District. Next week, St. Petersburg's Development Review Commission will be taking up a proposal for a zoning overlay. All of that area there is currently, most of it's zoned industrial. And, thanks to the Teals study and some of these other things that we've been hearing about, and some of us have been participating in, we are going to be creating this overlay that will allow for some mixed use so that there can be residential there. And the beauty of that particular area is that the Pinellas Trail goes through it as well. So you have not only the Sunrunner to the north and all of the wonderful offerings on Central Avenue in the Grand Central District, but right there in the Warehouse Arts District, you've got the access to the Pinellas Trail. So I'm hopeful that the DRC will vote to move it forward so that we can get through that voting process to get that in place, because I think that's going to really fill in the gap that's there now. I know there's some folks already planning some things, hasn't been announced yet. We're waiting for this. It's been a long time coming, but we are going to see a very thoughtful boom in that area that's related to the station areas and the fact that we're looking at modernizing that zoning and and what industrial means for St. Petersburg today. We're still making things, right? But maybe not the polluting type, old, traditional manufacturing, but today we're making sculpture, and we're making beer, and all kinds of things that are lending to St. Petersburg's uniqueness. So I'm looking forward to that. And so I can't wait to see what this looks like maybe a year from now, when we've got even more rising in St. Petersburg and westward. So thank you for this update. It's really, really nice to see.
Absolutely, you're welcome. I'm also looking forward to the future of sculptures and beer in the corridor myself, so.
Yeah. Thanks. Commissioner Schulman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So something that's in the report but that's not in the PowerPoint is the definition of the different types of stops or development areas like downtown, urban, neighborhood. And so when you look at this development map, it doesn't tell the whole story, right? So around the urban and downtown cores, like the transportation zone is half mile, I believe, from each Sunrunner station, and then it's a quarter mile in other areas. So I think with a map like this, it would be helpful to outline where those zones are. So when we look at it, we don't see, why is it all over in this area, right? It could lead people to make to the conclusion that there's something promoting St. Pete versus other areas. And inherently in the study, they're designed to be looked at differently because they represent different kinds of neighborhoods and expectations for development. And so I just want to make sure that becomes a little bit clearer. And like I said, it was in the actual report, but not on the slide.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be sure to share that feedback with him and modify the map to reflect that.
And to Commissioner Egger's point, if we're starting to look at, when we talk about development maps like we see here, those are all the projects that were listed, right? We can start color coding. We can start making hotels look different than commercial, different kinds of commercial property, so that we can also, again, get a sense as to what's going in where more quickly, as opposed to having to go into the report and pull out those pieces. So I'm all about color coding, as we talked about.
No, I love color coordination. Thank you for that feedback.
Just give me a box of crayons. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And great point. It is, I know what the zones are just because I've looked at that for so long. But it is important to see that, the density of those blue marks on the map represent zoning, and the result of zoning and increased density. So can't wait to see what's next. All right, if there are no other questions, thank you so much for the presentation and the update. Next, we have our reports and correspondence and future meeting subjects. Brad, would you like to give us an update on these reports that are in our packet and what we can anticipate for upcoming meetings?
Sure thing. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Chair Driscoll, and thank you all for some good comments there, and I've taken a lot of notes how we can make that report better. So in your packet, under performance updates, PSTA's senior planner, Devin Deal, developed some really interesting, detailed analysis of PSTA's 2 regional routes that connect Pinellas with Tampa. As was discussed last month, Commissioner Scott asked for some analysis. That is in your reports under the ridership PowerPoint. That's what it's called. The PSA Finance Department reviewed this at length, but I encourage everyone to take a look at those services and feel free to ask Devin, he's right there, any questions that you might have. As we committed at the Finance Committee, we will continue to look at these 2 express routes and every route in our system to make the routes even more efficient. If anyone has a question on any of the other performance reports in the packets, I'm sure you'll let me know. Speaking of performance and our FY 2025 upcoming budget, I believe most of you are joining me on Friday morning, April 26th, for our workshop. Make sure you have that on your calendars. Even sooner, tomorrow you should have baseball opening day on your calendar already. I'm sure you do. And you're welcome to join PSTA and the Rays mascots for a pregame tailgate at the Tropicana Field Sunrunner stop. Stop by before you go into the stadium anytime from 2:30 to the first pitch at 4:10. You can ride the Sunrunner to the stadium, of course. We are charging fares, but as board members, you can bring your ID badge with you, and as you know, you can ride for free. And make sure you bring your little Sunrunner cowbell with you. Then, this Friday, starting at 3 p.m., Commissioner Patty Reed and I will be hosting a meet and greet at the Pinellas Park Transit Center. We've been advertising this, and like similar events in the past, I've heard that there will be dedicated riders that will ride more than 10 miles across Pinellas County for the opportunity to come yell at me. That is always good, but hopefully we'll talk to customers about our great new initiatives like the Veterans Passes, Transportation Disadvantage Passes, UPass program, things like that. Things like Commissioner Tom Reed brought up that the operators talk about knowing how many people are riding. Speaking of fares, and Abhishek brought it up earlier, we are about to make things a tiny bit easier for our senior citizens, students, and veterans. We are testing new technology that should be rolled out in the next week or couple weeks that will allow senior citizens to register a credit or debit card with us at any PSTA Transit Center one time. And then when they tap that card, that same card on a bus, it will give them the half-fare discount, the senior discount. That's going to eliminate the need for some people to keep coming back to a center to load up a Flamingo card, because they can just use their credit card. I do want to introduce or reintroduce to some of you PSTA's new Chief Planning and Community Affairs Officer, Darden Rice, is here. Very honored that she has joined our team, and very honored that she is now on her third day and she hasn't left yet. That's good. Finally, in about 2 weeks, Chair Driscoll and I are going to be traveling to Washington, D.C. to meet with our congressional delegation and the U.S. DOT and Harry Glenn as part of our APTA legislative conference. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions? No? Okay, do we have any other business to discuss today? Or do any board members have any comments at this time? Commissioner Schulman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say I'm very much looking forward to the workshop on the 26th. And I'm hoping for lively discussions amongst board members about ways that we can improve service, change our service, adapt our service to make sure that it is meeting the needs of the community. So I think the last workshop, the budget workshop we had was a good start to outline some topics. But I hope we're all bringing our thinking caps and our ability to have a lively conversation. So that was all.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Fig Sanders.
Thank you, thank you. I just wanted to ask for consideration on our wonderful student ride free program. I've received correspondence asking for us to address the issue of our students riding during school hours. They're actually taking advantage of that free ride during the hours, maybe going to the mall, doing other things. And I want us to address how we could curtail that getting out of control, and what we could do as far as the bus drivers, or if they're out of school hours where it's time for them to go in the morning, even after school, and I know we provide free rides as well, but during school hours, I want to see how we could monitor and evaluate that to ensure our students are actually in school. Okay, thank you so much.
I'll just note, when you forwarded me that email, I read it to my wife, and her comment was, we have a daughter who is a senior in high school, and she does not seem to be always, I'm constantly getting notices that she is not in class. She's doing fine. And when I read that email that you forwarded me, my wife was like, absolutely, get on this, about our daughter. James Bradford and our has alerted all of our supervisors and our drivers to sort of track it and see what the level is, or what's going on. So I'll know a little bit more, but we're already tracking it, yeah.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Peters, did you have any comments or questions for us before we adjourn?
No, but I thank you for checking.
All right, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next board meeting will be on April 24th at 9 a.m. Thank you, everyone, for everything today, and this meeting is adjourned.
Oh, it's great. Already.
We're just gonna have our picking carrot. I don't know, all the way back.
On the list.
March 6th.
We're in the Hooter suite.
Yeah.